Radiology at Tulane University Medical Center. Before moving to New Orleans last year, Dr. Caridi was a professor of radiology and pediatrics, chief of vascular and interventional radiology at the University of Florida in Gainesville. We are both Gators. We have this.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry. After graduating from the University of Florida Medical School, Jim began his training in pediatrics at the same institution. He returned to Florida to do a fellowship at UF with Dick Hawkins and then specialized in vascular and interventional radiology. He served as president of the American Cancer Society Westlake Division for 2 years, and it was during this tenure that he accompanied a 12-year-old boy to the Oval Office to see President Reagan as one of his last wishes. A day Dr. Caridi has logged as one of his milestones. He returned to UF in the early 90s to work with his mentor and idol, Dick Hawkins, and during this time he authored more than 60 papers and book chapters, trained more than 80 fellows, and introduced a host of new technologies to his division. Some of these included DVT lysis, drug-eluting beads, and Y90 for liver tumors, portal vein embolization with NBCA vascular and non-vascular stents, cryotherapy, radiofrequency ablation, irreversible electroportation, sounds like Star Trek, covered stents, doesn't it? Covered stents for TIPS, T-I-P-S, uterine fibroid embolization, and retrievable IVC filters. How did I do? Hawkins and Caridi advanced the field of IR in their own unique manner. Their philosophy included hard work, humility, and patient safety, combined with passion for success and fun. During the 80s, when it was not unusual to use 6 to 8, now you're going to have to help me, FR catheters, UF had pioneered using 4 FR catheters and smaller needles, as well as blunt needles in an attempt to be less invasive and safer for the patient. The emphasis was safety first. Today, Dr. Caridi ranks as one of the world's experts in his field. He recently developed a popular user-friendly CO2 delivery system, which has eliminated the fear of use and has contributed to the elimination of contrast-induced nephropathy, among other life-saving virtues of carbon dioxide angiography. Caridi and Hawkins recommended smaller catheters and more precise embolization to avoid lockout of future procedures by injured feeding arteries. Using CO2 and NBCA, they added their spin to safe, efficacious portal vein embolization prior to extended hepatectomy. James G. Caridi, MD, is motivated to early diagnosis and the appropriate use of safe, effective treatment to acquire the preservation and quality of life with minimal side effects. And now, I'd like to call Dr. Raj and Dr. Irizarry, because they're going to be presenting the award to Dr. Caridi.
Jim. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a hand to Dr. Jim Caridi.
but in the immortal words of Clark Griswold, holy crap, where's the Tylenol? It was really, it was kind of a bet on the table when I would cry first. But I really want to thank Raj. Well, first of all, I kind of have the same feeling as a lot of you in the room. It's like, what the hell am I doing up here? But I really wanted to thank Raj. I met Raj many years ago, and there was an immediate simpatico, and then I got to sit back and watch him advance our specialty and our whole society in a way that not many people have, and so quickly. And I'm proud to be his friend because of that, and this meeting just highlights what he's done over the last 10 years. So congratulations, Raj. So this is really bad for you guys. It's your worst nightmare because I really like to talk. So I also have somebody that I have to thank, and what a lot of you don't know is that when I get up in front of people, which I never expected to do in my life, is I always thank my 8th grade guidance counselor. Her name was really Denqueer, and I've stood in Australia and different places and said, thank you, Miss Denqueer. Because in 1966, when I was in 8th grade, she told my parents that I really should go to vocational school because I wasn't going to amount to anything. And maybe this isn't, I don't know, but so I wanted to thank her. I also thanked her immediately, having a few uncles in the business. We had her car impounded the same day. So, and but really, I stand among these redwoods. I feel kind of humbled by the fact that there's guys like Katzen, Beninati, Salem, Geschwin, all these big names, Lencioni, DeBar, and I'm standing up here. But to show you how enamored I am, I have to relate a story. I told you I'm going to talk. It was 2004. I was at the SIR in New Orleans, and I knew who Barry Katzen was, and I guess he knew who I was, but I was told that Barry Katzen wants to talk to you, and I felt so important. I was like, oh my God, he's going to ask me to speak at his meeting? You know, I was really impressed. So he finally got in touch with me, and I was shaking on the phone. I said, Barry, how can I help you? And he goes, well, you know our mutual friend, Ken Thompson? I go, yes. He goes, 3 of his people got arrested, and I need you to get them out of jail. That is a true story. Okay. So I was pretty impressed. Didn't get to speak at the meeting, but we did get the 3 out of jail. You know. And anyway, why am I up here? I have to ask myself that question. So there's 2 things. It's 2 P's. One is perseverance, and one is people. So when I was in pre-med, I met all kinds of people who were kind of silver spoon and bred to be physicians, which I kind of wasn't. And I wasn't genetically or environmentally engineered to do what I'm doing. So I just would remark to my family about how smart everybody was, and it was pretty tough. So my grandmother, who was an immigrant, and she sent me this plaque, and it's something you really have to listen to. And I kept it. I kept the words since back in when I was in pre-med. But it's actually from Calvin Coolidge. Not that she knew who Calvin Coolidge was, but she sent me this plaque. And it was, nothing in the world can take the place of perseverance. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unwanted or unrewarded genius is almost a problem. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Perseverance and determination alone are omnipotent. So I really think that the first reason I'm up here is perseverance, because I try to murder everything, sometimes too much. The other P is people. And I've said this well before this evening, that there are 4 people who changed my medical career. The first one was James Natick from North Shore, who told me that the more you do, the smarter you are. So in year 2 of my residency, I did a lot of interventional with him. And he brought me into his office one day and said, if you self-deprecate one more time, you're out of my residency. So, and then the next one was Dick Hawkins, and I can't say enough about Dick Hawkins. I mean, I don't want to get wimbly-nimbly up here, but he was one of the finest human beings I've ever... ever met. He transformed me into an interventionist. His method of thinking, he let me think on my feet, how to get out of a jam. He taught me how to use my hands, and he taught me finesse. And I have everything to thank him for. The next individual was Eamon Hobbs. With his support with Angiodynamics, I got to travel to places that I didn't even know existed, and I didn't even know how to pronounce. And I got refined in well, you may not know that, but in the art of speaking, he advised me, he consulted me, he cultured me, and he really turned me into a fairly good speaker, and it was because of his good graces that I got to visit the world, and I'll always be indebted to him for that. The next person, medically, that has changed my life is Ricardo Lencioni. He didn't know who the heck I was. I knew who he was, and I called him and I said, "Can I come work with you for 3 months?" And he just said, "Sure." So I went out with him, and he really has changed my, let's say, the autumn of my career, teaching me interventional radiology, learning all new things, how to just everything about my current interventional life, and I wouldn't be standing up here today if it wasn't for him and the other three. And the other thing that Ricardo did was, I always wanted to go back home. And I have many, many friends now in Italy, and really like family because of Ricardo. So he's opened up a whole new avenue to me that you can't do. And then, kind of finally, I want to thank my son. For standing by me and helping me in my darkest moments. Crap. And then, I did pretty good. Then I want to thank my wife who's let me be me. You know, she stood by me, and I have a leash, but it's pretty long. And she just keeps me from hanging myself, but she really lets me do what I want. I mean, just imagine the women in the room, that your husband comes home and goes, "Hey, guess what? I know we're redoing the whole house, but in a month we're leaving for Italy to live in a town we don't know, to work with a guy, I don't know who he is, but then we're moving everybody, including Nico, he's coming with us." So, you know, and she just sits there and goes, "Okay, you know, whatever you want to do." So, I mean, she's had to put up with a lot. And that's the good stuff. There's plenty of other stuff. So, I have these philosophies that I try to learn from the past, live for the future, and not forget where I came from. And most of you who know me know I like to suck the life out of every day that I can. And I advise you to do the same. And while you're doing it, just make somebody else's day. I mean, even if it's a smile. I know I try to do that. And just bring some joy to somebody every day. And finally, it's been a request of my family that I kick back because of most of you know, obvious current events. And I'm probably going to slow down, except for maybe Raj's meeting and ECIO if I'm lucky enough to get invited. But what I wanted to take this opportunity, if I don't see you guys because of, you know, I'm slowing down a little bit, I can't thank everybody in this room enough, whether it's techs, nurses, staff, doctors, just everybody has allowed me to participate in this specialty. And I thank you for your camaraderie, for your friendship, for your advice, for your education, and a specialty that is tremendous. It's not even work to me, and allowing me to be part of it in a world that I never, ever thought I'd be part of. And I thank you very much, everybody in the room. Thank you.